How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the HGO podcast. My name is Kyle, and as always, I'm joined by my good friend Hunter. How are you doing, man?
Oh, I'm doing just swell.
And joining us on location, on his vacation, Ethan's back by popular demand. How are you doing, man?
You just can't get rid of me. I let you have 1 week off, and now I'm back, baby. Hello. Yeah,
What's
I'm
going
good.
on, dude?
I don't know why I'm here.
How's the vacation
Top
going?
Howard, I guess. It's all right. It's all right. It's been a bit of a mad one.
Nice. What have you been up
I
to?
don't know what to say. Just doing normal things. I'm in. Have I said on the podcast where I am?
I don't think so, but just remind the people.
I'm in Florida at the moment.
Hell yeah.
I have a couple of hobbies that aren't gaming. Surprisingly enough, one of them is I like theme parks. So I'm around here doing some theme parks with some family.
He's becoming
yeah.
one with the Gators.
I am. I'm seeing some on the scene with the Florida men to see what's actually happening here. Some of the crazy. You should see the crazy stuff happening down here, guys. Crazy, great. But no, I'm just hanging out and apparently spending every other waking minute playing Starfield. So it's been a good, it's been a weird balance of a time. But hey, it's been good. It's been good.
Someone's got to do it.
Someone has to do it. And apparently it's me. I tell you what is the weirdest part of doing this is obviously I'm on your time zone.
Yeah.
Doing this at 7 feels wrong. I feel like this isn't right. Like if it's not the dead of the night, if it's not when nobody should realistically be recording a podcast, it doesn't feel right. So it just being in the middle of the evening, this doesn't feel like good at all. Like I don't know. It's very weird. The whole mobile setup feels strange, to be honest. But yeah. It's weird. It's good.
Audio listeners, if Ethan's audio sounds a bit funky, it's because he's on mobile.
It's not even that. It'll be the echo of the room. This room's got terrible noise suppression, right? It's like
just the worst acoustics.
It's not great. It's not great. So
Do not record an album in that room.
but imagine the echo. Imagine we don't even have to make that artificial. We can just get the choir in the back. It'll be great. But no, so I'm on my little diddly mobile setup, which is basically just a tripod, this little $100 mic for my iPhone, and then no, it's better than that. It cost me like $100. Don't diss the mobile setup that costs way too much money. And this webcam's probably better than my actual webcam, all things considered, because it's I pay way too much for this phone, but it's good. But yeah, it'll be fun. I've got a lot of things to say about Starfield, and the best part is I've heard that there's a load of controversy and all that jazz online. Hunter's just left. He heard the word Starfield, and he's like, "I'm out. Goodbye." There's been a lot of controversy around this game. Also, as far as I can see from the look of Twitter, I've basically just gone into kind of hermit mode with this game, where I don't know anybody's opinions on this other than people are screaming the Metacritic score is fluctuating because fanboys cannot stop warring against each other, it seems.
The Starfield arrangement is something to witness from a distance. It is hilarious.
So I feel like I've missed something because I just haven't, like, my Twitter feed has been completely devoid of Starfield stuff. I don't know if I'm just not following the right people or what, but I wouldn't have even known this game came out this week.
I mean, like, didn't it came out last week?
You know what I mean. Like, you know what I mean.
It's one of those games. It's like Mortal Kombat, right? Where we were like, it's coming out next week, and it technically is if you want to give the Warner Brothers way too much money to play it early, right? Yeah.
Which I am not doing.
Correct.
Yeah, you look forward to Axolotl next week, but you know, it's like Starfield was doing like, hey guys, we have 6 million concurrent players at launch, and I'm like, well, congrats, your launch was 5 days ago. We're building it up because I paid $30 to play it early. It's stupid, but I did it. So yeah, it's basically just been the classic fanboys fighting against each other, social media and kind of review outlets kind of firing shots into the wall themselves to try and fuel the flames a little bit. It's been a mess, to be honest, and I've not even been paying attention to it. I've not heard a single opinion on this video game. I've just seen some random tweets be firing at each other, and they've not even been opinions. They've just been like people from Xbox or Windows websites firing stupid shots, and people from PlayStation websites firing them back. And it's like, this is bizarre, and this is why you should never trust any review outlet that has the words Sony, Nintendo, PlayStation, or Windows in the title. Like, just ignore them, move on. You know, I'm kind of been fortunate where it's like, because I've been in this kind of hermit scenario, I've been in this bubble where it's just been me and this video game for a set amount of.
Oh no, he's gone.
Oh no, Todd Howard didn't like that.
Todd Howard popped the bubble.
Am I back?
Welcome back.
I don't know what that was. We'll just roll with it.
They're trying to silence you.
I don't think this
heard no opinions on the video game, and now you will give no opinions on the video game.
I love that this never happened in test recording, and now it's happened twice.
Yeah, and I'm on mobile data, so it's not even like it's my Wi-Fi cutting out. I don't know what that is. You might want to write the timestamps, Hunter, just so Kyle can do some little cuts. Just
nah, it'll be fine. It's funnier.
Okay. Fair enough. Sorry, listeners. What was the last thing you heard? I've just been in.
You were in a Starfield bubble.
I've been in a Starfield bubble, so it's been fun to kind of just sit with a video game, because I feel like for the longest time, right, we've always, at least doing this podcast, even if we have tried to go in as blind as possible, we've heard whispers and rumors and rumblings, because all the review embargo is always beforehand. So to go into this game completely kind of opinion-free, bias-free has been really interesting. So yeah. We'll talk all about it, I guess.
All right.
Hey, did you want to do the spiel? You're the host.
I mean, we're 8 minutes into this video right now. You want to just like, might as well just get into it right now.
Cool.
We've already been talking so much about Starfield.
YouTube.com, hot gamers only. Yeah, like, comment, subscribe. Sorry about the terrible audio. Where do you want to start? I guess. Where do you want to start? I'll let you. I don't know what's happening. I'm here to just answer some questions about Todd Howard's little love child. Right, let's get into it.
Do you like it?
Well, we're just gonna go right for the throat.
You're gonna ask how long I played. What's the deal? We're just going straight.
What's this video game about, Ethan?
Okay, well, that's a
for
great
people
question,
like me who haven't paid attention to Starfield at all. In the 9 years it's been being developed for, or whatever.
Way too long. So, for those of you who are unaware, Starfield is the latest RPG from Bethesda. Not latest game by, like, not the publishing branch of the game studio, the one with Todd Howard, them lot, right? They haven't made a game realistically since Fallout 4. They dabbled with 76, but they basically punted that off to somebody else to deal with for the most part. So, yeah, this is their first game since 2015, which is a long time.
Fallout 4 came out in 2015.
They've just been one of those devs that's kind of been stuck in dev hell for a little bit, and I feel like this is the first time we've seen them come out for a long time, so it's the newest game, and it's the first time in 25 years that they are doing something new, because they did Elder Scrolls for the...
Oh, he's gone again. Oh, no.
Maybe I will edit these out.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe I left this in here for you, audio listeners. Who knows?
This is great.
This is really stupid.
Why is it doing that? It's not...
Can we blame Florida for this?
We can.
Let's do it, yeah.
Can you still see me fine? I'm going to literally close every other app that isn't Discord. Maybe that fixes it. What did you hear last? I'll just go into that.
They were working on Elder Scrolls 4.
Okay. Okay. They were working on Elder Scrolls for the better part of the 90s to early 2000s, and then they acquired the Fallout IP. They didn't create the original 2 Fallouts. They bought the IP and made Fallout 3 and 4, and then New Vegas was obviously not even them. It was Obsidian. So there's been a whole load of these Bethesda RPGs that have been in the same 2 universes for the longest time. And this is the first time in 25 years that they have tried to do something new, I guess. And it's basically a sci-fi kind of open world. We'll get to that RPG where you are playing the role of the self-insert protagonist, as you always do in a Bethesda game, where you are basically the main premise of this story is you are a miner who discovers an artifact that does something to you that you don't truly understand, and get whisked away to this organization called Constellation, who are out there to discover the unknowns of the stars, essentially about 250 years or something in the future from here. So that's kind of the base gist of it, but it's the same kind of setup as every other Bethesda RPG that you've ever played. If you ever played one where you are a mysterious person who is somehow special to this world, and you start in a very generic thing. It kind of doesn't really do the Bethesda big pan open. Here's the big kind of escape. It kind of does it. It kind of does the Fallout thing, but not really. But it's interesting. It's a Bethesda game.
I feel like it's hard to make that look impressive in space when it's just black sky and stars.
Oh, and it's not. It literally is just a bit. It literally is just opening of an airlock, and you're on a planet, and it plays the kind of Starfield theme. And it's just like, hey, look, you're in space. You guys seen space before? It's pretty cool.
I loved that part of Portal.
Yeah, me too. But yeah, so that's the kind of gist of Starfield. And if you've, like I say, if you've ever played a Bethesda RPG, you kind of know what you're in for. There's some things that make this game unique. There's some things that make it extremely similar to previous Bethesda games, for better or worse. But at its core, it is a Bethesda RPG, and I don't think anybody will be shocked. I don't think I have started firing shots in either direction from that statement, hopefully.
Did they keep the weighted value inventory system?
Yeah.
Boo. That smells. That's always the worst part of their games.
It does. I don't know. I feel like we're going about this the wrong way. I feel like we'll talk about that. That's not the second thing we should be talking about.
It was just a genuine question.
Nitpicks.
Curious.
I like how it's like, yeah, like we're not even going to talk about how long have you played, what's the kind of role-playing system, like what's the... Nah, screw all that. Like, what's it about?
How much does a bobby pin weigh?
Is encumbrance back? Like, is that the real question? Yeah, encumbrance.
So anyway, how long have you been playing then? How much time have you managed to squeeze in on your, roller coaster lines there?
Well, yeah. I've played over 20 hours of Starfield so far. Quite a sizable amount. But on my current playthrough, I am only 16 hours into the game.
Did you start?
I have this.
Did you beat
it
already?
Yeah, it has the Far Cry thing where you can just get a fake ending straight away. It's like, there you go, job's done. No, I did the same thing I always do with these kind of games. Where it's funny because last week you were talking about how you're like, hey, I'll go back to that save from Tales of Vesperia, whatever
That's exactly what I'm gonna do if I ever return to it.
Yeah, you'll play you go reboot to that 10-hour save back up. Where it's like when I got here in America, the first day was the day that Starfield came out in early access. So I was like, I'm gonna play, and I played for like 2 or 3 hours, and I wasn't feeling it. I just wasn't like. I spent 45 minutes in the character creator. I didn't like the way my character looked. We'll get to it in a bit, but something that makes this game unique is you don't just in prior games, at least in terms of Elder Scrolls, which is where I come from. I haven't played Fallout. Is you usually pick you pick a race, right? So you pick like there's like multiple human races. There are a couple of weird ones, like there's the lizard people, and there's all sorts of the cat people, the Khajiit. Yeah. There's plenty of
Khajiit has if you have coin.
Yeah, and the kind of weird things to do. The way that this game kind of differentiates itself is obviously everybody's a human in this game. You can make your humans look weird. You can make them look like Todd Howard. You can do whatever you want, right? But it's like you've got that system, and the way this game kind of differentiates itself is you have a background and 3 traits, and you can customize. You can pick them from a list, and that's kind of it gives your character your kind of backstory, and it gives you some unique traits that change the way the game kind of plays in small ways.
So you get something to choose from now instead of just being assigned one, like in Fallout, you were married and had a child, and that was lame.
Yeah. Whereas this game is fully kind of. I would say that to me, this is the most I've ever felt like it's a role-playing game. And Bethesda games have always been very much role-playing. Silent protagonists, for the most part, we will not talk about Fallout 4, but it's like, for the most part, silent protagonists, multiple options, multiple different ways to play. But you've still been locked into that kind of, hey, you're a prisoner on a cart and a dragon just saved your life. And it's like, okay. Whereas this game very much is, yes, you're currently a miner, but you can choose the background that your character's had. You can choose these 3 traits that differentiate you from different playthroughs that can have major implications on minor ones, right? Like some of them feel like they're better than others. Like some of them are just, hey, you were born in this territory, so you have citizenship here, so you get some certain benefits from that kind of area. That's one of your traits.
Mm-hmm.
Other ones, there are other ones like the adoring fan from the E3 demo, right, where you get the world's biggest fan and he'll stalk you for half the game, and it's like like silly stuff like that. Did I pick that? Of course I did. But on my first one, I
free
picked
pack mule at least.
Yeah, I picked a background and some traits that I didn't like, and I wasn't clicking with the game. So I took like 3 days off. I didn't play much Starfield after that, and then I came back, and then I've put 17 hours into this character. Although it's 16 plus 1 because I had to replay a whole hour because we'll get into that role-playing shenanigans, Bethesda weirdness. I feel like that tends to happen when you play these kind of games. If you're like me and you're really heavily into role-playing, that stuff kind of happens.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so 20 hours, give or take.
Nice.
Any questions? Like, keep the questions moving, guys. Come on. I believe in you. You can do it.
Sorry, I was getting
How's
water.
It feel to
What's the gameplay? What's the gameplay like?
Does it shoot nice?
It feels pretty good for the most part. I'm playing it on Series S, so my X is at home. I brought the S in my hand luggage, so I'm playing it on that, and it runs perfectly fine. I've not had any issues. There's been a couple of frame drops and stuff like that, but I'd akin it more to, say, Zelda on Switch than anything like, say, Gotham Knights on PS5 at launch, right? It's not, like, unplayable. It's just, like, you get your dips into the low 20s, and you just kind of bear with it, because these games kind of have those kind of moments where you go into a big area, you just get frame time drops like that, so it's fine for the most part. I feel like, in terms of the gameplay, gameplay is where I'm going to be probably the most negative in this review. I should feel like if we put where I'm feeling on this game, am I on the side of people saying that this game is great, game of the year contender, or is this game terrible, poo-poo, stinky, 4 out of 10? We love the PlayStation, we love Jim Ryan, right? I am definitely I'm on the game of the year side. I think this game's really something special, but there's a lot of Bethesda jank that comes with it, where it was acceptable in Skyrim. Here, we've had a lot of time. Why is the jank still here? It's like one of those. And the gameplay is just Fallout. It is Fallout without the fats, is the way I describe it. There is.
Oh, that makes it so much worse.
The gunplay feels.
Oh no.
Right, the gunplay. Let me hit right. When I say that, I mean it in like the nicest way, where the gunplay does feel better than Fallout. From the little bits of Fallout I played, it does feel better.
If it felt equal to Fallout and didn't have the VATs, that would be really bad.
In fact, I'd say the gunplay is pretty damn good, especially for these kind of games. You've played these kind of games, these first-person shooters, and if you've played something like a Call of Duty or something where that's their bread and butter, and then you go and play a Ubisoft game like Far Cry, and you're like, this feels awful. It's not like to that extent. It does feel a lot more solid. That said, it still has plenty of Bethesda jank, and the AI is still very much Bethesda AI. And what I mean by that is, most of the time, battles will be one of two things. They will either be people just poking heads up and you just shooting them and then nothing really happening, or everybody just decides it's bully day and they all just start shooting at the same time and you just can't do anything.
Is it possible to die before you've even spawned in this game? I remember that happening to me in Fallout 4 quite a few times.
Yeah, it has happened to me, but only in ship combat. That's the only time it's happened. It's in ship combat.
Okay.
But I've had quite a few little weird hiccups with this game, and it has solely been with the ship combat. That 1 hour of progress I lost was due to ship combat. So we'll get into that really. But in terms of the main gameplay, it's very much like Fallout. it's like Elder Scrolls as well, right? It's mainly you've got first and third party purchase options. You're an absolute maniac if you choose third person. Why on earth would you do that? In a shooter game, it just seems like an absolutely terrible
I don't
thing
know.
to
Is there
do.
a melee option?
There is a melee build. I don't see any use to the melee build. I wouldn't recommend doing a melee build unless it's like your sixth playthrough of this game, which people will be doing. But you know,
Slinking around and stabbing people in the head is fun.
yeah, it is.
I had a knife
and
named Stanley when I played Fallout.
You had a knife named Stanley?
I did, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess
Hell
I have to
yeah.
talk about that. Yeah, you at the weapons benches and stuff, you could name your weapons.
Okay,
so.
that's what I figured, but I was just gonna let the Stanley comment stay.
Just let the comments stay, dude. Just let the comments stay.
I had to expound on it since you dipped again, but
no, cool.
I want you to know I'm not
stuff.
switching the layout to 2-person whenever you disappear.
No,
it's
I
just
wouldn't.
staying on 3-person.
It's not substantial.
It's
enough
funny.
I never do. I'd recommend if there's a lot of silence, just cut the silence out because that's just awkward for audio listeners. That's my main gripe. Is I don't like audio listeners having to wait 5 seconds for something interesting to happen because they have to suffer enough.
That's true.
But yeah, what was I saying? I think the main difference between this game is, and again, I haven't played Fallout because Fallout's never been my vibe. I don't care about the post-apocalypse at all. So I don't know how the upgrade and level systems work in that game. But the way this works in this game is there's essentially 5 different kind of, I don't want to say trees, because they're not trees, but there are 5 kind of categories. And every time you level up, you get a skill point, and you can either unlock a new ability in any of the tiers, basically. The more points you put into one of the tiers, the more of the badges that unlock, essentially. So it's like, it kind of scales like a skill tree, but it's not. And then also each of the badges that you unlock, which are these skills, you can then level up a further 4 times by doing things and then spending a skill point on it. So, for example, we talked about encumbrance still being there. You can do what I do, which is the thing for encumbrance is very easy. It's just sprint around with 70% of your inventory full, which if you've played a Bethesda RPG basically means from the get-go you're doing that anyway, right? Yeah. So it's just, you're just running around and you can quickly upgrade it with a skill tree. So it's still that kind of do quests, level up, spend those on skill points to boost yourself, but also levels in Bethesda RPGs never really mean anything. You can kill level 30 enemies at level 5, you can get battered by a level 10 at level 20, right? It's just like, it's more of that kind of roleplay experience of being like, hey, if something's higher level, it probably means that they're expecting you to do it later in your playthrough than earlier, but you can still do it like I've been doing. The main difference to this game compared to Fallout and Skyrim is because it's in space, you have this kind of shift from an open world dynamic to a more linear experience. And what I mean by that is there's still exploration. There's plenty of planets that have nothing on it, and you can just hop on it and find some structures, find some weird stuff that they've generated, mine some more, do all that jazz. But for the most part, it's like you go to a planet and there's a city. That city is its own little incumbent, like this little kind of encapsulated map, and you'll do stuff there, and there might be some little things, but you're going between a lot of different planets, so there's a lot of fast travel and a lot of ship travel in between it, so it doesn't necessarily feel like a connected world, which I feel like for a lot of people might be a disconnect, might be a drawback. To me, it's a blessing, because with open world RPGs, a lot of the time, as soon as I've unlocked Riften or I've unlocked Whiterun, I'm fast traveling between those bad boys constantly. I'm not walking between them because it takes too long. So for me, it's just been like, oh, cool, I have these little areas that I keep going back and forth to. And it's like, to me, I vibe with that kind of gameplay aesthetic, but it's a lot more linear in its structure, which I think might throw people off, especially the story. For the first couple of hours, it is just go here, do this, we'll go here. It's very linear in a sense, but it's still got that open Bethesda feel. You can, within the first 3 hours, go off and find a whole different chain of side quests accidentally by getting yourself arrested and then starting a 4-hour side quest that you never knew existed. It's nice. A Bethesda game. There's some cool moments like that. I spent a lot of time in side quests already, and one of the things I heard from a lot of people was some people have been suggesting that you rush through the main story. The game gets... There's apparently there's something to do with New Game Plus and something like that, where everyone's like, that's when the game kicks in for real. And I'm like, no, just
Oh,
welcome, welcome to modern video games. Our video game doesn't start until you beat it.
Yeah.
I love video games, dude.
You have the audacity to ask you to play it like twice or thrice for it to be the full experience. Oof.
What is this, Nier Automata?
That's what people are comparing it to.
Jesus.
And I think I know
Does
what
it
the game's
deserve
playing.
it? Is that comparison warranted?
I don't know. I'm not there. I'm nowhere near there. I think I'm on like mission 8 of the main path. People are like, hey, keep playing they were like, keep playing the campaign until mission 8. And that's when this big thing happens. And it's like, oh, that's when people are hooked. I was already hooked beforehand. So by mission 4, I was already dawdling off. You know what I'm like? Do the main quest? No, thank you.
Does that mean that the main story is actually interesting this time?
I think this is the best main story that I've ever played from an Elder Scrolls from a Bethesda game. There we go. That's the better term for it. This is my favorite story from a Bethesda. I think if this game carries on the way this game carries on, this will be my favorite Bethesda game that I've ever played.
Wow.
I think from a story perspective, this game's fantastic. I think that's its strongest. I think its strongest suit is its world, its characters, and its story. I think it has some of the best companions and some of the best main characters that I've ever experienced in a Bethesda RPG. Because they matter. That's the thing. A lot of these games, you're just, hey, you're Hero McGee, off you go. You can have these companions. Some of them may be related to the main quest, but
they're just kind of there and have some kind of superficially weird quality that might make you like them.
Yeah, exactly.
There's not really much to chew on after that.
Whereas this game has something like, I think in total it has 14 companions. Not all of them are. You can't get all of them in a single playthrough. For example, one of them is the Adoring Fan. So if you don't pick that trait, there you go. That's one of the companions you just can't get. From the get-go.
Okay, I didn't like Mishima anyway.
But I think the main quality is these characters, because you get basically most of the members, at least 4 of the members from Constellation, are your main 4 companions. And this game does just go, hey, from the get-go, hi, this is Sarah. She's the head of Constellation. She's going to hang out with you for a while. And then it's a good game when you get a companion and you're hanging out with them for hours, and they do this thing where they've done it before in Bethesda games, but it's never felt like it's quite clicked, where if you're doing quests and you have a companion with it, the companion actually interacts with the conversations and actually makes it different if you have a companion there. So Sarah will chip in. If you do something that's against what she doesn't think, she doesn't like that, she'll tell you that she thinks you're being stupid. You kind of... At the same, I've now, because I like Sarah quite a bit. She's one of my favorite characters from a Bethesda game ever. I think she's fantastic. And it's like, she's been my companion for a long time now. And I've kind of stayed away from doing the crimey kind of things, or someone's like, I need you to steal something from me. I'm like, well, I know that she's not going to like that, so I'm just going to not do that. Like, I'm just going to steer away from that.
You and I go about those kind of things differently. If I want to commit something morally dubious, I just focus on persuading my friends to get over it.
No, I had a thing where I was going to Io, one of the moons of Jupiter. And for some reason, the UCA, who are basically just the government of, they are basically just the government of space, essentially.
Government. Ew.
Yeah, the United Colonies or something. I can't remember.
United Colonies Association.
Yeah, something like that. But so I just went there, and for some reason their ship started attacking me, and I have no clue what caused it. I don't know if it was a bug, but I was like, oh, these must just be pirates that have nicked the UCA ships or whatever. So I just started blasting them down. Spent half an hour
blasting.
Yeah. So I started blasting. I killed everybody. I go out onto this moon of Jupiter because I was intending to build a base because I was sick of the Adoring Fan. So I was going to build him a base on Jupiter where he sits for the rest of his life. Long story. These are the kind of things that happen in these games. And this is
you sit here and you watch the events of Callisto Protocol unfold and think about what you've done.
Yeah. Essentially, I was like, you can sit here and mine iron for the rest of your days. I need that. Thank you. Like, you're just going to sit there. You're going to sit there and you're going to push a button every 5 minutes. It'll be great, Adoring Fan. You'll love it. So I do that. I spend half an hour building this great base. I loved it. It was a great time. Send him off on his dues. Then I go back to the main quest. I'm like, okay, spent an hour doing that. Time to go back to the main quest. Oh wait, no, Sarah's not following me. Neither's any of my other companions. What the hell's happening? I go back to my ship. They're all angry with me. They all hate me because I started killing like a load of innocent civilians that I didn't realize. And I felt that guilty. I looked at my autosaves. I had none close. I went back an hour in time to fix this. I was like, no, I'm doing an hour again. I can't do like this is how deep the role playing I get into this because I like these characters so much. I like the story where I made a mistake an hour ago and I'm willing to replay that hour again just because I'm like, no, I don't want to live with these consequences. I'm just gonna like roll with it. I'm gonna go back and deal with it. And it's just like these characters are so good. The main four that you get, especially. So you've got I haven't met the fourth one yet, or I have, but I don't know her that well. But the main three that I've met are Sarah, who is the head of Constellation, Barrett, who is another member of Constellation, who is fantastic. I feel like every character named Barrett in a video game is just instantly charming and incredible. So, that's just like tick, we're 2 for 2. He's pretty great. And then you have Sam Coe, who is essentially a space cowboy. He is basically
nice.
He's basically Spike from Cowboy Bebop, and he's voiced by Elias Tefexis from Deus Ex. So
nice.
Yeah, another great character, and his dynamic is he has a daughter, and his daughter goes everywhere with him. So you've basically got this tag team of cowboys that are just going off and joining you as part of Constellation. And it's really interesting the way this game works. Is you have this affinity system in the background, which has always been there for companions in past Bethesda games. Everyone liked that. Sarah liked that. Sarah disliked that. Barrett liked that. Barrett really disliked that. That kind of system.
Sam really hates your shoes.
Yeah, just random stuff like that. And it's like, but this time you actually get quests and stories, and like the only you can only romance 4 companions in the game, and they're all 4 main characters, and you have to go on basically a whole side quest chain with them to get to the ending with them. So it's like it gives you reason to actually care about your companions and swap them out because you get a whole different bunch of side quests each time. And it's like I ended up before going back to the main quest, I already maxed out Sarah's side quest entirely. I got to I'm pretty much near the end of her storyline already done. And it's like one of those things where I'm like, it's classic Bethesda jank that I can have a companion who's acting like we've been traveling together for months, and it's literally I'm still at the start of the story, and it's like just one of those things where it's just like classic Bethesda, where it's just like, hey, yeah, you're the most important person in my life, and I'm like, technically we've done like nothing, but okay, that's great. I like this. This is great.
It's like maxing out Ryuji Social Link in P5.
I mean, yeah, I feel like this kind of disconnect exists with anything that gives you room to play with here, because I've had that kind of thing happen in Dragon Age too.
Yeah,
where I'm like best buddies with a guy who's perhaps in the canon of the game known me for like 2 weeks.
Yeah, but the great thing about like these kind of Bethesda RPGs is because they expect you to spend 6 million hours in it.
Oh, and no more hours in the podcast.
Damn.
Oof.
I think that's 4.
Welcome back.
Are you counting?
6 million.
I think that's 4.
You're going to have to. You're going to have to either add a count or cut them to the less annoying. I apologize. Trust me, I'm not here next week. You'll have to just trust me, guys. I did not do this in the test.
It didn't. We went for like 3 hours in that test recording.
And it was fine.
It was totally fine.
Is my phone overheating? No, my phone's cool. Like, there's nothing wrong.
The only thing I can think was your phone plugged in during the test recording?
No, because it had my earbud in, and it's not plugged in now. So, yeah. I don't know what's
I have no clue.
I'm sorry.
It's Florida's fault.
It's Florida's fault. Blame Florida, guys. I'm blaming it. Kyle, please try and make this not a train wreck. I apologize. But yeah, so I was saying 6 million hours, right? So yeah, you spend 6 million. It's not like any other RPGs where it's like, guys, we've got a month to save the world. We've got 2 weeks to save the world. This game doesn't go on that kind of calendar where it's like, with 20 hours, yeah, I could have traveled with these companions for months and months or years already at this stage, right? And it's like, it doesn't really impact it. The story doesn't have this kind of nihilistic end of the world thing where it's like the world will end in 6 months, guys. We got to get a move on. Like Arkham, like the Arkham games, where it's like everything happens in one night. Yeah, and it takes 30 hours to do everything.
It would be really weird to put that kind of time limit on a space game because because the dilation of time traveling through space has always been really confusing.
Yeah. But yeah, I really love these characters in this world where it's like, it's been a very long time where I don't think, like, even with Zelda, I've not been not playing the video game and going, damn, I can't wait to go back to And Starfield has been that game where I've been, I'm on holiday, I'm doing other things, I'm enjoying other things, but I'm like, man, I can't wait to go back to Starfield because I'm genuinely enjoying these characters in the story. It's genuinely interesting. And I feel with Baldur's Gate coming out, there's been a lot of this kind of look at this. Like Bethesda's games, they're archaic, they're old, they've got all these bugs, encumbrance, gross, grim. And I'm like, yeah, a lot of it's true. It's just a different kind of RPG. It's not Baldur's Gate because it's not trying to be Baldur's Gate. It's trying to be a Bethesda game.
Yeah.
And it's excelling at what it's doing. Is it perfect? No. Is it buggy? Yes. But it's like, there's a lot of things that they're doing where I'm like, yeah, the companions that they have here, the main characters, are better than you get in Fallout and Skyrim. They are. They just are. This world feels like they're not building on a legacy of dozens of titles that they made in the past, or borrowing an IP that was popular in the 90s that they're now going to make a new RPG with. This is the first new... They've built this world that just feels lived in, and it does genuinely, like, it's actually interesting. It's not just, hey guys, this is sci-fi... Like, this is just sci-fi bullshit. It's genuinely interesting stuff where you've had wars that have gone on. You've had this kind of interesting... People always joke, why are there no mechs? I agree, why are there no mechs? There isn't really...
Why are there no mechs?
Why are there no mechs? Why are there no vehicles? The vehicle thing, I think, is a stupid omission. But in terms of mechs, I do like that they were like, let's at least put into lore a reason why they're not. They've been banned because of a this mass murder that happened in a war, so they've been just outright banned in the constellation, basically. So it's like, there's a reason for them not existing.
You're gonna tell me not one person in the solar system isn't using a mech?
Well,
just because it was outlawed.
I mean, it would maybe make for an interesting boss fight.
There is a world full of there's a world that's full of decommissioned ones and all kind of like a junkyard planet that they just dumped everything on. So I would not be surprised if in the Starfield 2 in the year 2048, by the time these Bethesda RPGs comes out, maybe someone will have repaired one. Who knows? But it is just like it's a genuinely interesting world to explore, and I really like it. And it's like these issues I have with the gameplay side of it, where I'm like, hey, I don't really care. Like, the gunplay is fine. It is fine. It does the job, right? It's not excelling at its gameplay. There's so much, like Hunter, you mentioned encumbrance, there's so much Bethesda jank and just some garbage. There's some like actual garbage with it. The maps and the UI in this game are dreadful. They are awful. They are really bad. There is no map for a city. Like, you just have to hope you find what you're after.
There's not like a mini map?
No, the game there's no mini map anywhere. But there's no maps in the cities. It's just like, hey guys, I hope that you figure out at some point that the weapon shop's in the residential district of the main city. Hope you figure that out.
Why would you keep the weapons in the residential district?
I have no clue. But it's like...
That's not where weapons go until after they're purchased.
Yeah. So there's no map, and that's really bad. And it's really annoying when you're like trying to figure out something. So it's like, I didn't find out where you could buy med kits from until like 12 hours into the game, because no one told me that there was like an underground slum to the main city, and the main hospital on the top doesn't sell med packs, but the slum does. So I'm like, oh, I guess I found a new fucking area then, 12 hours in.
And you just had to spend the first 10 hours of the game eating space rocks.
Yeah, just trying to figure out how to get anything to work, right? Just kind of dealing with it. Yeah. There's jank like that. The way that you go about going through star systems is so bad. The UI is not good. Skyrim's UI was better. It's not a good UI system. like when you go into the star map, you see the star you're on. You press B, you go into like a galaxy view. You go B again, you can see all the galaxies that are available. And to go in between each one, it's like sometimes you're like, okay, I need to go to this galaxy. It's right there. And the game's like, no, 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 you haven't been to a galaxy near it. So first you have to fast travel to that galaxy, go to that galaxy just so you can open the menu again and fast travel to that next one. And it's like, wow,
no.
you've opened my eyes. This feels so much more realistic. Thank you, Todd Howard. I really appreciate that extra 10
That's a
fucking
weird,
seconds.
like, half step into, like, why would you be that specific about it if it's not gonna be connected anyway? Who cares?
It's like that, where it's like you can fast travel without your ship and go to a planet that you've already been to before. But if you've not been to that planet before, even if there's a base on that planet, you're not like launching in a new, like you're generating new content, right? Because a lot of these planets you can randomly procedural, like they randomly procedurally generate that content, so you have some stuff on isolated planets. If it's one that has a thing that they know you're going to, you still have to fast travel to the orbit so you can go back into the menu and land on it. And it's like, it's stuff like that where you're like, why? Especially when it's like, if I've been there before, I can just go to that planet and click fast travel and it'll just load me there. And I don't have to deal with it. I'm just like, this is so jank. Why is this the way that you've decided that this works? It just makes no sense to me.
Why are you like this?
It's just dumb. Or it's just stuff like, or it's like you can't fast travel to space stations. Like there's a space station above Jameson, which is the main planet that it's kind of your hub for everything. There's a space station called the Eye that's above it. You can't fast travel onto it. You have to fast travel into the space around the planet, then fly over to it, and then dock on it. And then the problem is if you've docked your ship, you have to undock your ship before you can fast travel again. So you have to do that, and it's just like it's stuff like this where I'm like,
oh my god! And how long does that take?
like 2 seconds, but I have to go back into my ship, and you can fast travel to your ship if you want to by pressing the scan button. But it's like it's stuff like this where it's like it's just a bit like it doesn't need to be this fiddly. Especially when people have already modded in stuff that's better. Like like a week in, people have already like they've removed encumbrance or they've fixed some of the UI bits, and then like my favorite part was people were like, "Oh, but I don't want to use mods this early because it disables my achievements." So someone made a mod that re-enables the achievements when you've been disabled by mods, and it's just like it's like cool Bethesda stuff. Like the community around Bethesda games is incredible. Where Skyrim's God knows how old, and it still has like 20,000 concurrent players all the time. And same with Fallout. It's a very passionate community. But it's still some of that stuff where Todd Howard sits there and just goes, "It just works," and it's like it doesn't. And people keep modding stuff to fix it. Like, can we just work on that, please? Like, thank you.
Stop making your player base do part of the work for you.
Well, it's not. Yeah, it's just like encumbrance.
You had 9 years,
I hate
Todd.
it. Yeah, it's like it's a weird one, right? This game is very weird because I understand that for a lot of people, this game is not gonna be. It's not a Zelda, and what I mean by it's not a Zelda, it's not Baldur's Gate 3, and what I mean by that is it's not going to be one of those games that people universally are like, hell yeah, this is a Game of the Year contender. We love this. It's very much going to be if you're someone like me who, to me, I'm not going to lie to you, after like. I'm probably going to stick another 60 hours into this game. I probably will come back and do the DLC. I've been contemplating buying a physical copy of this game. God knows how well that's going to go. I've checked in the US. I've been to I've been to Walmart. I've been to Target. I've been to a couple of other places. There's been no physical copies. It's Armored Core all over again, right? It's one of those.
Gonna have to shake down one of the theme park dealers.
shake down Mickey Mouse, dude. See if he's got a copy, dude. Yeah.
I know you have the goods.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like it's one of those things where it's like I love this game this much that I'm probably going to end up buying a physical copy of it. To me, it's like I don't. This is why Game of the Year is going to be so hard this year. Is there's so many good games where I'm like, Resident Evil 4 could easily be my Game of the Year in any other year. Same for Zelda. Same for this game, Starfield. There's so much stuff where I'm like. There's been too many Xenoblade Future Redeemed. There's been too many Ethan games where it's like there's been too many games this year that cater to my taste, and it's just one of those years where that's happening to everybody, where it's like it's starting to become an issue.
Yep.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy. I'm surprisingly in love with this video game. I know it has plenty of issues. Trust me, I know. but there's just some stuff, there's just some magic stuff in this game where I'm just like, man, they don't even give you the kind of, I don't want to give it away, but in these kinds of games, there's the kind of like, there's the VAT system or the shouts or there's stuff like that. There's some, each game kind of has a unique kind of thing to identify itself, and this game has that. And they put it behind a main quest that's pretty early on, but if you're like me, you can only just discover it 20 hours in and then be like, damn, that's kind of crazy. Now I've got a whole kind of different look on things. It's a very special game, and it still has that Bethesda charm of the side quests are incredible. I've been doing one with the Vanguard, who are basically the UC's kind of military, where it starts off being like, hey, if you do 10 years of service, you're going to get it's basically a guaranteed way to get citizenship. And I'm like, cool, like what's it going to be, a couple of missions, and it turns into this kind of
it turns into this kind of scam, because again, time dilation and space travel is jank.
True.
Hello.
Welcome back.
Thank you. What did I say? Was it something to do with I started doing the Vanguard side quest?
Yeah. Yes, it was the Vanguard side quest.
Where it starts, doing busy work for the government, 10 years, you'll get your citizenship. Whoop-de-doo. Right? And it turns into this kind of conspiracy theory of, there are these aliens that keep showing up on planets that any planet that humans kind of start to occupy after 70 years, there are these aliens called terramorphs, which are basically humans, like an alien. They're basically a predator of humans, and they'll just come and they'll just disrupt everything. They were that bad at one point. There was a whole city called Londinium, which is basically probably the British were killed, guys. The British were off. It's a tragedy, an absolute tragedy. No. Just funny because Sarah, one of the main characters, has a British accent. No one else has a British accent in this game that I've met so far, but she does, and I'm like, cool. I'll team up with you. You're the only other person that sounds like
kindred spirit.
Yeah, kindred spirit. She is great. I love her. But yeah, so it's like, nothing this bad's happened, and then all of a sudden you stumble on a base, and these terramorphs have showed up, but humans have only inhabited it for 20 years. So it's like, the cycle that we're used to has been cut down to a quarter, and now it's like become this kind of figuring out what's happening. It's come this whole conspiracy theory. There's a bunch of side quests and stuff like that. It's like there's so much good stuff in this game, and the funny thing is after the first mission, they give you another side quest. Like this is just a branching path where there's a second side quest that they gave you 2 options to go down. And there's a whole nother branch of like a 4-hour side quest that's on the other side that I've not even touched since then. And it's like just really cool stuff like that where I'm like, I see why it takes you so long to make these games at times, because like, my God, like not only do you have to plan all this, but like I say, companions, they interact with the side quests. It's not just the main quest they're interacting with. All the main Sarah, Barrett, Sam, all of these characters, they're interacting and quipping and interacting with these side quests at the same time. They'll talk and give you feedback on all this other kind of stuff. It's like, man, why like do they do this? Like we talk about like Arcane with immersive sims, right? With Deathloop with its shitty AI, and it's nothing immersive about that simulation in Deathloop. But
stand on a roof and you're safe.
Yeah, exactly. But then it's like, I think that like Bethesda, in their own way, these kind of RPGs they make are immersive sims where the characters will move between stuff in the world. Like you do actually have to follow them. If they leave through an exit, you have to actually follow them. They're not just like, hey, I'll meet you on this. Like, I'll meet you at the sewers. They will go and walk to the sewers, and you can follow them to take the path and stuff like that. And it's like, there's all kinds of jazz like that where I'm like, man, like, you spend so much time on this stuff. Yeah, your menus are still shit. Why are you doing this? like come on, guys. You're failing such simple parts. But yeah, there's just so much to love about this game. There really is. Like, is it a great example of an Xbox exclusive? No, because 90% of people are going to play this on PC. But, and it's, again, it won't be for everybody, right? But it's like the traits that I was talking about. There's the adoring fan, very stupid. I've sent him to a base on Jupiter. Yes, guys, did I spend an hour rebuilding that base for the adoring fan? You damn right I did. I went back. I'm like, yeah, get back on IO. I don't need you right now.
It's more than I would have done if I was going to make a base for the sole purpose of getting rid of somebody. I would just make it a box with a chair in it.
I felt bad, and also, like I said, I'm like Barrett. Barrett and Sam and Sarah don't like it when I kill people, so they're bad. They're not bad. So I'm like, fine, we'll box him on Jupiter. Everybody happy? But it's like we talk about traits, right? One of them's called it's the child trait, right? Where you get parents, and they become characters in the world. They'll come and visit Constellation constantly.
Cool.
You can go to their house and they'll talk to you. They give you stuff. Like you send
like Pokemon parents. Yeah, they send you stuff.
You have to send them like a percentage of your money every week, but it's minimal. And I've got a really good starting pistol. They gave me some really good starting armor. They gave me a ship. My dad won a ship in a poker game, and he just gave it me. And I'm like, you can sell it. You can do what you
Nepotism.
want. And they tell you plenty of stories. They've got so much dialogue to them. Your companions will interact with them, like in those conversations as well. And it's just like there's so much dialogue in this game where it's like it has that Bethesda jank to it, where the face animations still are hanging on Uncanny Valley with some characters, right? Where it's like,
is it still just like the static screens where they're just
hi, how you doing? I'm gonna speak like this for a while. How's it going? And sometimes you get that jank where if they're talking to another character, and if you're like me and you do a lot of sprinting between cutscenes and Sarah's in the other room, the game kind of sometimes the NPC will be like, yeah, so that's what I was saying, and then I was not even facing me, so I'm not getting any of this animation. It just looks a bit janky, right? So it has a lot of those, but it's like, man, stuff like that is so cool. And there's traits that I didn't pick. They're also interesting, like Bounty Hunter, like Wanted, where people are constantly hunting you down and you have to survive ambushes and stuff like that to keep going. And like I said, there's like a bunch of citizenship ones. There's ones that help boost. There's like introvert and extrovert, where if you're an introvert, you work better alone, but as soon as you have a companion, your stats start to deplete, so you have to spend time alone. Extrovert's the opposite, where unless you have a companion with you, you're doing worse all the time. There's like fun little gimmicks like that, and like I say, with backgrounds you can choose stuff. So I chose the soldier one. So it's like there's plenty of references where they're like, oh, you've been in the army before, stuff like that, just because I wanted the perks. There's like bounty hunter and stuff like that. You can go full Han Solo if you want to. There's plenty of stuff where it's like you truly can customize.
Was the one I kept hearing thrown out for some reason when I was listening to people talk about it.
Yeah, that is one, right? And it's like I've never felt more like into a role-playing game like this, where it's like I'm properly playing this kind of as a role, where I'm like, I'm not doing that because of this. I've got my ethics in line, right? It's like I don't want to piss people off. I really like that person. I like these characters. I don't know yet because I'm too far in. I don't know if these characters. This is what's interesting is most Bethesda games don't have your main characters act like this. They're very much quest givers, and you go off and your companions are something separate. I don't know what happens if any of these main characters. You can't kill them off yourself, right? I can't go and shoot Sarah in the head and go like, ha ha ha, I'm the head of Constellation. It doesn't work, right? But if I spend all my time, right, building up her affinity, get married to her, and then she dies in the main story, that's going to be like I don't know if these characters have...
Oh, yeah. Now, the Constellation would be willed to him. It's a good thing I started my sentence before he dropped.
Yeah.
Now it's just super seamless. Welcome back, Ethan.
That's 6
Dude, I'm real glad that in streamer mode on OBS, Discord doesn't make a beep sound.
Beep.
When someone joins or drops.
Yeah, it's pretty great. Sorry, audio listeners. We thought this would work better than it did. But yeah, I don't know if they have...
upload the test recording from 2 weeks ago.
No, we need to talk about Starfield. They would. They would. We promised Starfield, and that was not Starfield. But yeah, it's like, I don't know if they have plot armor or not. Because a lot of Bethesda characters don't. Like, there are plenty of main characters in Bethesda games that just die.
Or you can just kill them. I killed a centerpiece of the main story in Fallout 4 on site one time. It was amazing.
Yeah. And it's just like, it's stuff like that where it's like, I don't know if Sarah and Sam and Barrett are safe. at all. Where it's like, but it's like, well, you know what I'm like, talk about, romancing people early. I'm like, I really like Sarah. She's great. She's like my favorite character in a Bethesda game. She's really charming and funny and great. But it's like the same kind of like Anne syndrome, where it's like, hey, I liked Anne in Persona 5, and now it's July and I'm done with that, and we're never going to reference it again. And I just feel like it's going to be one of those things where it's like, if I get married to Sarah or whatever in this game, and then just like 60 hours in, they kill her off, I'm gonna like lose my shit, right? Like, it's gonna be like, I don't know what happens in this game, which is fun, and I'm not in past Bethesda games. I've put off doing the main quest because it's shit. Like that, to be honest, like they're not good.
No.
Whereas in this game, it's not because it's shit. It's just because, hey, I want to go down this side path chain, and I want to hang out with Sam more, or I want to hang out with Barrett more, or Sarah, and I want to learn some more stuff about them. I want to go and do these kinds of things. And it's like, it's ticking all those boxes where it's like, I've heard people gush about Bethesda games before, and I liked Skyrim. I own 20 million copies of Skyrim. I think it's a fine video game. But I never clicked to it that way. I never put more than 50 hours into a playthrough ever. And I can see myself easily putting another 50 in to this game until something else comes out, Assassin's Creed or something.
Yeah.
I like it a lot, and I'm surprised because going into it, I was extremely hesitant about it. So
yeah, I'm kind of impressed.
Congrats,
to see,
Todd.
Kind of impressed to see that you like this game as much as you do, because I've always feel like sci-fi kind of stuff isn't your genre.
No, I hate sci-fi. For the most part, like the only
stupid.
thing. I hate Star Wars. I'm not. Well, I don't hate Star Wars. I'm not a huge fan of Star Wars. I'm not a huge fan of Star Trek or anything like that. The only thing that's ever been sci-fi that I liked is Doctor Who, and that's because I grew up on it. The reboot came out when I was 7 years old. It was built for me, basically. So it's like I just latched onto it as an English kid, and I was 7 years old and just wrote it. So it's like, yeah, I'm really liking it, and it's like the space stuff I think is cool. It's one of those games where they thought about it. It's not at all how anything works, but it's based in a realm of logic where they're not just like, hey, we just found some alien tech and hey, here we are. It's like, no, we figured out how to do light speed travel. We figured it out. And like I say, that Vanguard quest, the first thing you do is go through a museum that tells you the entire history of what happened to the Earth. You can go to the Earth if you want. You can.
Cool.
Most of the people that are still in the Sol system are on Mars mining because it's a massive mining operation. Earth's doomed. Earth's gone. Like Earth is basically just a massive desert because of, and funny, not global warming, but something else happened to Earth, so everybody had to leave really quickly.
It rains asteroids.
Yeah, there is actually a load of asteroid fields on Earth. Funny enough.
Thank you, Cowboy Bebop.
But it is but it's like, I'm genuinely surprised where I was like, yeah, I've been memeing that I'm like, Starfield, guys, look out for Starfield. And I'm like, I'm going to struggle with Game of the Year this year is what I've decided. Because I'm like, I loved Zelda. I liked Resident Evil 4 a lot. And I'm like, but man, both of those, I wasn't sitting there not playing it going, kind of want to go back and play it. And it's like, it's not even like the gameplay's the best. Those two other games have way better gameplay. But the characters and the story of this game, I'm like, Todd, you've done it. And I'm not even really.
Well, about the beautiful thing is I'm not even beating that out for best Xbox game this year.
It's too hard to talk about. It's really hard, and it's like I've not even scratched the surface. That's the thing is I've not been keeping track of how long I've been talking. Probably far too long. That's what I do, even when I'm not hosting. Just spurt on for far too long. But I really am. I'm really liking it. I'm surprised. I'm really liking it. I thought I was going to hate it, and I don't. And for the first couple of hours, I did. It's like, try again, re-roll, get yourself a mum and dad, get yourself an adoring fan, my other trait is, my other trait that I didn't even mention, because I've not even experienced it, was I have a house somewhere, but I'm in crippling debt. I thought it was funny. It's like, cool, debt, I don't care. So it's like, you got a fully customizable house that's somewhere in the system, but you're every time you want to go into your house, you have to pay 500 credits to stop paying off the loan, and it's like that's so dumb. I love that idea. Hilarious. I'm gonna do it, and I'm
especially when there's a base building mechanic where you can just make your own house.
Yeah.
Wait.
And 20 hours in, I've not even been there yet. It's great. It's like it's just. there's something about this game where I'm like,
go build a house right next to your house.
It's
That's
not,
called a
yeah,
shed.
it's not. I don't necessarily think it's like it's not the Xbox game they need, right? It's like this game would have been great regardless of where it was. People are going to play it on PC, whatever. But it's like it's nice to be like, hey, there's a game I want to play on Xbox. You know, it doesn't. I don't necessarily. It doesn't scream to me Xbox exclusive, and I think we're gonna keep feeling that as more people get acquired and stuff like that. I'm never gonna play a Crash game or any Activision game and go, that's an Xbox game. No, I'm never gonna do that, right? Because they're just people that they've leached.
I don't think I'm ever gonna really be having that thought process about anything that isn't like Halo or Gears until years down the line.
It's the same way. In my head, though, the same way, I always talk about, when we're talking about Sony first-party games or whatever, it's like, when I think of Uncharted or The Last of Us, I think of them as PlayStation games. When I like to, like, Insomniac in my head's in its own little bubble of just like, that's an Insomniac game, right? Like, same way with Bethesda, where it's like, that's a Bethesda game, right? I'm never going to go, dude, that's such an Xbox game, bro. Like, that's so good.
Literally, Insomniac and PlayStation game right now could be the same thing because they're the only ones making anything.
Oh, 100%. But no, like I say, I'm extremely pleasantly surprised with this game. I think it will probably be my favorite Bethesda game, and God, it's gonna suck. That's the problem with Bethesda is now it's like, hey, you've done a really good first job here, and I can't wait to finish it, and I'll probably be playing it for years to come. I can't wait to see what mods are like in like 5 years. That'll be sick.
Yeah.
But also, will we ever get another Starfield? I don't know. It's weird, right? Like if this was old Bethesda, we'd get another Fallout in like in Elder Scrolls, like Elder Scrolls in 2 years, Fallout in another 2, and it's like, hey, in 6 or 8 years we'd get another Starfield, and now it's like we get one a decade, so maybe one day. But I think it's
mid-30s by the time the sequel happens.
That's scary.
Generously,
scary to think about. Yeah, that's scary to think about.
Final Fantasy remake will be done.
No, bloody hell.
God willing.
Final Fantasy 16 came out this year. Forgot about that.
Yeah, sure.
Game of the year. That's funny. But yeah, if to anger PlayStation fanboys, I like Starfield more than Final Fantasy 16. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry, but if we're going for paid exclusivities here, like, if we're going to exclusives that don't feel exclusive, Starfield has my vote of confidence. I think it's a very good game, but I also am 100% think it's 100% accurate that it should be at like an 88. I think that's a good score for it. It has plenty of issues. It has plenty of last gen kind of ick to it, like menus and encumbrance that's stupid.
Have you encountered any really bad bugs in the game at all?
There's other than that one where the UC spaceships just started attacking me for no reason, and I just thought, it must be pirates. Like,
you haven't opened too many doors.
No,
that was an actual thing that broke the PlayStation version of Skyrim, Kyle. If you remembered the position of the doors that you passed through, and eventually it just made the game's brain explode when you got too far into the game.
Incredible.
If we go back to the immersive sim thing, one thing I forgot because I haven't played Skyrim.
We'll have to find out in a few seconds.
We'll find out next time.
What did he find, or what did he forget?
Ethan opened too many doors in Florida.
Yeah, he opened too many doors on his phone.
Hello, I'm back. That's happened one more time, right? What was I saying? Oh, yeah. One thing I forgot because I haven't played Skyrim in so long, or any Elder Scrolls game for that matter of fact. If you didn't know, when you play those games, Kyle, if you go into a building and you're being attacked, the people who are attacking you will follow you into that building, even though it's a separate space, and they'll just all come flooding through the door. And if you're playing something like Skyrim, that's fine. You'll have Hunter, 3 people on you sometimes, maybe 4 if you're lucky.
Fusro Da as soon as all of them get in.
Yeah, well, I did that in a base full of 25 people, and they all just barged the door down and killed me because they all had
Oh, you idiot.
Like, I forgot this is how these games work, is it remembers where you go. You can't, like, I play any other RPG and I'm just like, yoink, run through everything and just open the door. Haha, I've beaten you. Logic, you can't open doors.
It's the horror game move. Getting overwhelmed by a monster, you just back through the door and it forgets. At least old horror games.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just stupid stuff like that. But no, it's the most bug-free Bethesda game I've ever played, and this is on. They haven't patched it since the early access went live, so there's been no kind of super quick
and
fixes.
you've been playing on the Series S too,
which it runs great. I've had no problems, and honestly, if you were like, man, I'm so
Starfield.
Yeah, if you really do want to play Starfield and you don't have an Xbox, there's nothing wrong with the Xbox Series S for this. If you just want a quick kind of, hey, I really want to play it, and I don't want to buy a stupidly expensive PC because from the sounds of it, it's a really demanding game on PC. The Series S costs like what, $200, $300? I don't know what the price is. I don't know. It's something that's not as expensive as the PC equivalent that you'd require, and I think I've had no issues with the 30 FPS, to be honest. I'm pretty much used to it. It probably runs slightly better on Series X, probably looks a tiny bit more pretty, but it's fine. And people are saying it's an ugly game. It's not an ugly game. It's not particularly breathtaking, but I think it's pretty...
It looks far better than Fallout did and would if it was out on this generation, because Fallout is historically very ugly.
The game is the game itself in terms of planets and stuff like that, environments. I think it's very pretty. It still has that jank where character models for main characters are really good, and character models for some of the other ones are extras,
and you can tell.
Yeah, like it still has that kind of Bethesdaism where you're talking to a character in a quest and you see their face like pop up again later in a different person with a different haircut, and you're like, hi, I think I've seen you around these parts before. It happens. But like in terms of like character design, like I say, I think the voice acting in this game also very much. I forgot the table's shaky. Sorry about that. But yeah, I feel like the voice acting, main characters, is fantastic. It's some of the best in a Bethesda game. I think especially the companions with Barrett and Sarah and Sam and whatever the fourth person's name is, who I have not perfectly memorized yet because I literally just did her mission yesterday and I didn't even talk to her that much. They're all really good. Like, they're really solid. I mean, Elias Tefex is playing one of them. Like, it's a good cast. Like, it's a very good cast. I was looking on Twitter and I saw like Damien Haas, who voices I think the protagonist in one of the Fire Emblem games, the Warriors game that came out I didn't play. He voices one of the random characters, and I'm like, and I'm like, oh my god, that makes so much sense because I know his voice because I've watched some Smash stuff in the past. So I'm like, I know your voice. I was like, I was completely clueless, but as soon as I was like, that's him, I'm like, of course it is. Yeah, that makes sense. It's got a very good cast. Like, it's got a very, very good cast. But some of the side quests, you hear some citizens talking, and you're like, it still has that last genism. You go up to a citizen, you press A to talk, and they're like, nice weather we're having, or don't you love living here? And you're like
I used to be a bounty hunter like you, and then I took a bolt to the knee.
I've not had any of those yet. I've not had any like repeated quotes from like enemies or anything like that too much. It doesn't have Xenoblade 2-isms where it's just repeating the same voice line over and over again. Not
Laura heals an aching soul.
I think that
not yet anyway. Point. Yeah, although you do
be a hidden emblem around here.
Gotta find some ingredients.
Still have There was a very awkward moment when I was talking about how everybody hated me, and I got Sarah, forgive me. The other two didn't. I was like, right, I can't deal with this right now. I'm going to restart my hour or whatever. But it goes very much from, what do you think you're doing? I hate you, to like, I love you. This is great. I'm like, okay, like weird Bethesda junk where it's like, I've met, like, I've rolled the dice. I've met the threshold. Now it's back to normal instantly. Like, there's still that junk. But for the most part, I'm loving it. I think it's a very, very good video game, and I don't know if I'll finish it in time for Assassin's Creed. Never mind review it in time. It's going to be a long one, guys. But I like it quite a lot. And if people are saying, because people are just saying that this main story just keeps getting better and better, and I'm like, okay.
Well, that's like
I'm hoping you're not leading me on with this hype of what the ending is and blah blah blah. I don't want to play it again, but hey, if it makes me feel that way, so be it. We'll see. I'll keep you updated, I guess.
Nice.
Cool.
All right.
Have I talked enough? Have I done my quota?
We're at an hour 10.
I think we've hit over the hour
sick.
mark. So
I don't know. Did you guys have any final questions? I would recommend it, by the way. If you have Game Pass, it's a no-brainer. If you like Bethesda games, it's a no-brainer. If you don't have Game Pass, if you don't have an Xbox, should you buy an Xbox for it? Only if you like Bethesda games.
Well, if you're kind of shoulder shruggy on Bethesda games,
I'd say give it a chance, but I'd also warn you that it's a slow burn. The first couple of hours, like I say, it didn't click for me the first time, and then the second time it did. I feel like it's got a bit of Death Stranding DNA to it, where I feel like at first the game doesn't want you to like it, and then the game there becomes a point when you're like, yeah, this menu's stupid, but it doesn't actually matter, or it's like, the game, like there's a moment where it's like you have to go into your inventory to take your helmet off or put your helmet on. You're like, this is stupid and feels clunky, but then you figure out that in the settings there's a menu that you can just keep your spacesuit on at all times, and if you're on a planet that doesn't require oxygen, like you're in a city, it'll just take the suit off so you look like a normal person. I'm like, okay, that's fixed my problem. There you go. Why wasn't that in the tutorial, Bethesda? Like stupid stuff. But I'd say at least give it a try, especially if you have an Xbox already. Go ahead. If you don't, that's the harder point. That's the thing where I'm like, hey, hopefully that it could be one where in a couple of years when PCs get a little bit better and it doesn't cost an arm and a leg to have a PC that can run Starfield, maybe a chance to give it then. I don't know. It's a weird one, right? It still feels weird, this being an exclusive. Like it in my head, it's like it's never gonna happen. But there's still a small part of me that's like, yeah, what if in like 4 years though they were just like, screw it, put it out on PlayStation, Nintendo, like just dump it,
and Nintendo.
Hey Hunter, have you not heard the Switch 2's got 6 bajillion teraflops and can run the Matrix?
Apparently it was being demoed at Gamescom or something.
So stupid. Like people are automatically going, hey, our expectations were down here, now we're up here. I'm like, guys, it's still gonna run like ass. Like, come on, like, you're gonna get 1080p 60 on Breath of the Wild, and you're gonna like it. Like, come on, like that's what you're getting.
Yeah. Yet another reason why people clamoring for the thing is idiotic, because they're just gonna move the goalpost as soon as it comes out.
I will too. It's gonna be great. But like I said, it feels weird where it's like, oh yeah, if you do own a PlayStation, you are never gonna play this game, and it kind of sucks. But at the same time, if you own an Xbox, you're never gonna get to play Spider-Man. So it's like you just gotta suck it up, really. If you wanna play it, put your money where your mouth is. I guess it's worth it if you like this kind of game, but it is a slow burn. That's the hard part. It's not like. It's not a.
A game doesn't even start till after you beat it. Apparently,
yeah.
It's not even an. It's not even an.
It's a very slow burn.
It's not even a Breath of the Wild where you can just go, hey, like. Or it's not even like a Spider-Man 2 where it's like, yeah, buy a PS5, like a Switch. It's like it's a game. It's one of those games you're gonna love, and if you don't, here's a backup of games. With this, I'm like. This is a game of the year. I love this game. I think it's fantastic. But also, if you buy an Xbox based on my decision and you don't like it, there's nothing for you to play right now other than Forza. And trust me, I love Forza.
Hi-Fi Rush is pretty rad.
And Hi-Fi Rush. They're both fantastic. Hi-Fi Rush is 10 hours long and Forza's pretty great, but it's like... I think if we have this question next year, when people are like, hey, should I get an Xbox? I really want to play Starfield still. I'm like, hell yeah, you'll have that. You'll have Hellblade. You'll have Valve. You'll have some stuff to play. Persona 3. It's hard to justify if you already own a PS5. That's the main thing. It's hard to justify if you already own another console. If you're like, hey, I've got no horse in this next-gen race and I really want to play Starfield, more power to you. You buy that Series S or X and you have a blast. Like I am. It's great. It has some jank, but it's great.
I'm real glad you're enjoying it, man.
Yeah. I am too.
Was it worth bringing your Xbox to Florida with you?
Yeah, especially because it wasn't even that got. It was the Switch dock that got me on customs. They were like, this.
The anti-Nintendo agenda on the TSA.
They were like, they showed the Switch dock and they were like, this counts as a large electrical. And I'm like, what part? The part that doesn't have a battery or the part that doesn't have anything in it? It's plastic. But I don't want to say that because I didn't want to get exported. But, you know, I'm like, what is this? Like, come on, guys. This wasn't TSA, by the way. This was the UK security. They were like, guys, this is a large electronic. And I'm like, look, get a screwdriver. Let's look. The Switch's PCB is like that big, bro. I will fight you on this. I do not want this. Like, this is stupid. There's no battery. There's no plug. You have to plug it in.
Even being harassed by these guys, his energy there is like what I imagine I would bring to a cop trying to like accuse me of drunk driving. I'd be like, breathalyze me right now. I dare you.
Yeah, like, it was stupid. And I was like, do you want to check the Xbox? They're like, no, it's the dock. I'm like,
but why though?
I've been prepping myself for months knowing that I'm going to get patted down for carrying a Series X through security, and they were like, no, that's fine, bro. There's nothing wrong with that. It's the stupid Switch.
And plastic is what they take issue with.
I was like, I should not even the battery in the back of my Xbox controller is not that healthy. Like, genuinely, it was
That's
like,
hilarious.
yeah, guys, the Switch.
It reminds me of you know, a few weeks back when I was off to Wisconsin for whatever. The people behind me had like a very large pair of scissors in their bag that I guess they forgot about, and it took the security people forever to find it, and it was like really hilarious to be sitting there like unpack, you know, putting the rest of my stuff back on and whatnot, and witness them pull out this large pair of scissors, and the two people be like, oh.
The security at the parks keep making my dad go through like a search for his bag or whatever, and we finally figured out what it was, and it was just a glasses case, like just a pair of glasses in a case, and they're like, yeah, that's it, that's why you've been being searched every time. I'm like, guys, you should know what a glasses case looks like. Like, come on, guys. I get security, but also I'm like, apparently if he just holds it out with him, it's fine. I'm like, oh, so if it's in the bag, it's a problem, but if it's in his hands, you don't have to check and open it? Like, this is bizarre.
Yeah, this is weird. Like, the bag is the extra layer of subterfuge. Like,
he'd never carry something suspicious with it in his hands with it. It's not possible. Like, he can't do that. It's bizarre, but it's fun, and I will let you all know, not next week, I guess, but I'll let you know the week after. What the TSA...
Oh, no, the TSA got him. What I was going to say while he was in the middle of that is it always cracks me up every time I've been stopped to be searched because of, like, I don't know, some junk in my pocket. Mm-hmm. People will be like, the TSA people are always very sheepish. They're like, do you want to step to the side? I'm like, no, just get it over with. Do it now. I'm like, I'm
one more time.
Yeah.
It's all good though. But yeah, I'll let you know how it goes. Not next week. I don't think we need more of this. I'll also not be. I'll be back. I'll be traveling at some point, I guess. But no, it was worth it. It was. I'm like I say. Is it the best game I've played this year? I don't think so. But it's also like I'm having the most fun with it. Like, it's weird. It's weird. Yeah. This year's weird. I mean, we're not even done, right? It's like,
oh, there's still a bunch of things. The impending game of the year, A.K. Zalotl, is coming out next week.
God, yeah, there's so much stuff, dude. Like, you've got, you know, it's like we've still got the Spider-Man, Assassin's Creed, Mortal Kombat,
right
Mario
before
Wonder,
that.
Mario RPG remake, Persona 5 Tactica. There's still a lot of stuff. I'm not saying that I'm sitting there going, oh yes, all those would definitely be on my contenders list, but I'm like, there's a lot of stuff still to go on, and like I say, Starfield has pleasantly surprised me. It's going to be more of a I don't know if I'm going to be able to pick a game of the year at this rate, but it's going to be hard to even narrow it down to like 5 or 6. It's going to be a challenge. I don't envy Jeff and the backlash that any winner will have at the Game Awards this year.
Yeah, like, I think for once we're gonna get to the nominations, and I'm gonna be like, okay, fine.
What got snubbed?
Yeah, because like, you know, years before it's been like, okay, how did this get here and this one? How was Resident Evil over Returnal for the nomination that one year, you know? And it's like,
oh, that was ridiculous. 2021, what a joke.
Yeah. When it won,
joke,
when
Jeff.
Returnal also won the category that they were both nominated in.
Stupid.
Yeah, but yeah, they both got nominated for Best Action, and Returnal won that. What was with you goofs? But
it's ridiculous.
But like this year is gonna be like, okay, there is a spoil of riches here to pick from. So,
and the problem is 90% of them are going to be in the RPG category as well. So there's going to be hellfire either way, right? It's like, do we give something that isn't Baldur's Gate or Zelda award for the RPG just to balance it out? Do we just let Baldur's Gate or Zelda sweep everything? Like, what are we doing here? Like, it's gonna be hard, and it's just COVID happened. It is what it is, right? Everybody's just ready to go now, and it's like we can have a year where a Bethesda RPG comes out, and we can go, hey, I don't think it's gonna win Game of the Year, and that's kind of crazy that it's like.
I mean, the last time one came out, it got washed by The Witcher.
Yeah, funny enough, it still did win a Game of the Year at somewhere, and I was like, wow. Somewhere had to suck up to Todd Howard, and I'm like, I don't even know if somewhere will this time.
I'm sure somewhere will.
We'll have to see. It deserves it, and it does. I feel like there's been a lot of hate towards this game that's unjustified. I also think there's been a lot of like attacking people that have disliked the game, and I 100% see all the issues that people are having with it. That I've seen, that there is plenty of jank. There are plenty of reasons not to like this game. I just think that if you're in that camp that likes this kind of thing, it's up your alley. Or if you had if you don't like them being fully open world, or you wish the characters actually meant something in these games, I feel like this game's doing it. So yeah, it's interesting. Anyway, wrap it up, Carl. Wrap it up. I've spoken too long. I've spoken enough for all 3 episodes where 2 of them are missing. I've done enough.
All right.
I'll report back in a couple of weeks. There'll be a review at some point, guys. I promise. Perfect. It'll be hard to. It might be half an hour long at this rate. It'll be great.
I think you may just have to do what I did with Octopath and just do like early game review.
Oh, not even that. I feel like even with these 20 hours that I've played, I feel like the problem with reviews is it's hard to. I hate. There's been a lot of that with Starfield where people are like, it should be objective, not subjective. I'm like, there's no point to an objective review. There's no point to having no opinion in a review. It's stupid. Art is all about a reaction, a personal reaction to something. So that seems absurd to me.
If your opinion on the game if your opinion on it is pretty much set in stone, I don't think, and you don't see it changing, then I say, just send the review.
Well, it's not even that. To me, it's like I've got so much to write about where it's like I don't know where the line of am I just like I could honestly I could talk a lot just about the companions, right? It's like I could very easily just from the 9-hour quest line and dialogue and stuff that I had with Sarah very much easily do a whole conversation on that. It's one of those games.
Issue when I was writing the Zelda review is like I had a whole thing talking about the sky and depth stuff that I feel like kind of, with their own paragraphs, and I feel like it kind of jumbled the pace. So I'm like, all right, we'll truncate that because I feel like it flows better that way.
Yeah, I'm gonna be there cutting my thoughts and feelings out, being like, I'm sorry, I can't handle it. But we'll see. We'll see how I get to the end of it. I've seen a couple of people. I know Greg Miller's done it where he's just like, I have to talk about this game, and he just did an hour podcast. He's
apparently
by himself,
played it 5 times.
Yeah,
Jesus.
Yeah. So I'm like, we might have to do that where I might do an extended, just talking about it or doing something like that.
The one-man spoiler cast.
Yeah, one-man spoiler cast. It might be a fun time. I feel like I say, it's.
I mean, I don't think either one of us will care about spoilers anyway. So if you needed a person to sit there and bounce off
just
of, I'm sure it would. Yeah.
It's one of the. It's interesting, right? Like I say, it's an expectation.
I was there for the P5 spoiler cast.
Yeah, but Jacob was also there, and that went for 3 hours. I don't think Jacob's playing Starfield, unfortunately. And I don't have any other friends.
I don't know anyone playing Starfield.
I know.
That's the thing. Is obviously it's not because the game isn't popular, because the game's huge, but it's just like
none of my friends own Xboxes.
Yeah, so a lot of my friends that would have played this game own a PS5, and they're not willing to put the extra money into it to buy an Xbox, and that sucks. Because there's a sucker who wastes his money on a lot of things. I'm like, I don't regret buying an Xbox to play this. It's quite fun. But it means that I don't get to have those conversations where I'm like, I really like this companion, and I just want to talk to people to see what they think about this person, just because they're so interesting. Because they're not kind of 2D kind of caricatures like a lot of companions in video games are. They feel like there's a depth to them, and there's some interesting kind of tendencies to them. They feel like human beings. And I'm like, it's rare for us to get that, because I feel like even in the best of times, characters are just what you see, and you don't really feel like there's anything underneath that. Even in games I love, like Persona, for example.
Jill from Final Fantasy 16.
Oh yeah, all the characters who aren't Clive from Final Fantasy 16. I feel like half the reason I like them is because I made up stories about them in my head because the game didn't give me anything to work with. It's like Gav's one of my favorite characters, but I feel like it's just because half the time I just picture him behind the camera going, "You can do it, Clive!" Like, just like cheering me on in the background, you know? Like, yeah.
Live Gav
man,
love.
FF16. That's gonna be it's gonna be a wonderful end of year podcast. That is. I can't wait to talk about that. I can't wait for the DLC either.
I can't wait to not play it.
I can't wait to play it and hope that it fixes my problems, and it won't.
It won't.
But I'll be there to find out, because that's what I do. You talked about me buying Octopath 2 last week, and it's true. I just buy things and then don't touch them.
That's true.
It's what I do best, apparently. But yeah.
Jedi Survivor says hi.
It's fixed. You know what's really funny? I was in the queue. This is not podcast conversation. I hope it.
Who cares?
If you hear you're done. You can go, unless you're a HGO subscriber. You can stay. This is the useless shite you're used to hearing us talk about.
The part of the thumbnail is over. You can leave.
You should be grateful, because most of the time the thumbnail counts to like 20% of the podcast. This time's like 80, 90, with a couple of drops in the middle. But yeah, I was in the line in Galaxy's Edge, which is a Star Wars land. I was in the line for the ride that I hadn't been on, and I'm like, I'll check Twitter, and I was like, a tweet from EA Star Wars, we have fixed Star Wars Jedi Survivor. I'm like, no shot. I'm like, what are the chances that the day I'm in Star Wars land is the day that they're like, oh yeah, we fixed the game finally. I'm like, good job, guys. It only took you like 6 years. I'll play it in December.
Dude, all you had to do was go to Star Wars land.
Yeah,
that's all it took.
Like, all you have to do is buy Cal Kestis' lightsaber from Star Wars land.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, that's $150. I'm not that stupid with money, guys. I don't like Star Wars that much.
So I can't even buy Cal Kestis' lightsaber. That's my Cal Kestis' lightsaber, though.
No, it's just the broken one with the damaged hilt. Yeah.
Yeah.
Still a cool lightsaber, though. Won't deny that even its default lightsaber is very cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. It's at least distinct.
That's so funny that I haven't played that. For all I know, I could have missed out on another one of my favorite games of this year just because the game was that broken.
I do think Jedi Survivor was better than I was expecting it to be.
Oh, yeah, that's the thing.
Or I liked it more than I was expecting it to, I should say.
What a weird year, dude. Like, honestly,
it feels like that was in it. That game feels like 3 lifetimes ago for me, because like Final Fantasy and Zelda are both like 2 separate lifetimes themselves.
Dude, that's how I feel about Octopath 2. Like, that feels like an eternity.
That doesn't feel like this year. That doesn't feel like this year at all. It's crazy. Well, like I say, it's like, Starfield technically came out on Friday, but because we've had this week early access and I've been already tinkering with it, I'm like, it feels like this game's been out forever, and I'm like, it's like. Yeah. I feel like I'm behind on other people, but I'm not.
Yeah.
Oh, and speaking of being behind, once again, he's behind.
I had to get one last one in.
Oh, man.
I think that might be...
we've said that the past 3 times it's dropped.
Long time for the road. Long time for the road. Hell yeah.
I think that's Florida telling us it's time to end this episode. So.
It's not. That's the thing. It's my data. I don't know what is causing it on Wi-Fi, on data, on nothing.
Oh well, that's not for us to figure out.
All I know is It's been a hell of a ride, guys. Thank you so much for letting me guest on this podcast. It's been
Dude,
great
no
fun.
problem.
Yeah, we'll have to get you back on a more
Yeah,
stable
dude.
episode sometime soon.
Oh, for sure, man.
Yeah, man. It's yeah, it's crazy. It's been fun. I'm sorry that you've had to sit here and just listen to me whine on about a weird video game for the past hour. And then it's weird because it's like a lot of the time I'm like, hey, sometimes I overbear on a conversation. Sometimes I can tell when I'm editing the podcast and I see my bar and I see like Hunter and Kyle's, and I'm like, well, Hunter and Kyle equate for the same as me, and they're two people. So I'm like, there's an issue there. But this one, I know that it's not in your wheelhouse, so I appreciate you guys just listening to me kind of just spew nonsense, right, for the past hour.
Hey, we appreciate you giving us content.
It's all good, I guess. It's all good.
You enjoy.
That's what I'm here for.
Without this, I would have had to ask Kyle what the Baldur's Gate character creator was like.
Good lord.
Because I think that's probably all you had time to do yesterday.
I got a little bit into the story of it.
Oh, nice.
I don't want to go too in depth into this because I want to end this episode.
It could be another episode.
Yeah.
Save that for next week. Save that for next week.
Just one quick story.
Okay, go for it.
So
take us home. Maybe I'll die again.
This starts us off. The game Baldur's Gate starts off. You're in this like Cthulhu or Illithid mind flayer spaceship. You had a worm injected in your eye. Shit's gross. Anyways.
Yeah, I've heard that setup. Sounds sweet.
So you're going through this ship, and there's this lady in a pod, just chilling in there. Like, she also had a worm put in her eye. Things happened. It was weird. So this is like the very first skill check you can do in the game. You roll your d20 and see if you pass the roll. No shot. I rolled a fucking natural 1. A critical failure on the very first skill check in the video game. I'm like, all right.
This does not bode well. Ethan's connection rolled a nat 1 on
legit
mention. Oh, that's hilarious.
You think he's coming back? Oh, there he is.
Yeah, he's back. Anyway. So nat 1, you weren't possibly letting that stand.
Dude, it was just so funny that the first possible skill check I could have rolled, fucking natural 1.
Did you save that for posterity? Because that's hilarious.
I should have saved the clip. I didn't.
Oh.
But
that's kind of funny.
It amused me.
You just kind of gotta shrug that off. It's just one of those things. It's like when I was negotiating with someone, and it's like you pick like it's like the way that it works in Starfield is like you've got like +1 answers, +4 or whatever, and the more points it's worth, the more risky it is. And I just did like the +1. It's like, listen, man, let me explain. And the game was like, no, and just like started the war. Like it's just like the guy was like, no. I'm like, well, that was great. Good talk. Just happens sometimes. You just gotta kind of roll with it.
And the thing is, like, in Baldur's Gate, there's also this option I had on where it's called karma dice, where your rolls will have kind of like balance each other out. I hadn't made a roll yet. The game just gave me a fucking 1 on that roll.
Hell yeah.
That means you were gonna get a 20 on the next one. You should have saved it. You should have kept going.
Well, that's in the past.
Dice gotcha.
That's in the past. Anyways,
I feel like that's that's the thing with these kind of RPGs like Starfield and Baldur's Gate, though, is it's like you get into that kind of spirit, and it's like me with like my restarting saves, or no, I don't like this, I'm not playing this right, I go back, and it's like I don't like that decision that I made, go back. It's like it's weird because I feel like a lot of people just roll with the punches in these kinds of games. Like, oh, I made that decision, I will lie in my bed on
the first time I play a game like this, I'll usually roll with it, or if I am going to reset it, it's because I decide before I do something that okay, I'm just gonna do this for the fun of it, and then I'm gonna reset it. Like stabbing the guy in the face in Fallout 4. I'm like, I want to do this because it'll be cathartic, but I'm going to let the story play out as normal after that.
Yeah,
and then on like a next playthrough, like in Dragon Age or something, I'll like reload a whole bunch of different times to see what the different permutations are, because I find that interesting.
Yeah, it's just one of those things, right? Where it's like I'll accept something to a certain extent, but then if it's like everybody hates me and everything's gone wrong, and I'm like, would I rather go to bed at a reasonable time or stay up another hour redoing what I just did just so that they don't hate me?
Stay up
And
another hour to fix your mistakes, or stay up
like,
another 4 hours agonizing over your
yes,
mistakes.
lying in bed tossing and turning, going, Sarah hates me. I can't live like this. I need to. Like, yeah. It's just one of those things. But it's why I love these kind of games, though. It's you don't really get that from other experiences, so
yeah,
it's cool. It's cool.
All right. Nah, for real this
You good?
time. For real this time. I think that's gonna do it for this one. If y'all
before I die, one more.
If y'all have been playing Starfield, sound off in the comments. Let us know what you've been thinking. If you haven't been playing Starfield, keep your opinions to yourself.
And please, please call me an Xbox shill. It's what I've lived for like the longest time. Like, I really would appreciate it. Like, that'd be great.
Yeah, he needs someone besides me to do that because he knows I'm not.
He knows you don't mean it.
Face.
I just would love somebody to just call me an Xbox shill, just not knowing who I am and like how I haven't owned an Xbox in a decade, and like just like please do that. I would really appreciate it. It made me feel
up on the
really
PlayStation.
Great. Literally owned every single PlayStation, has owned more Nintendo systems than Xbox systems. Like, just please do. I love that. That'd be great.
But yeah.
But no.
So thank you all so much for listening / watching. If you enjoyed, be sure to subscribe, leave a like, rate the podcast, all that Yahoo. I still don't have the ability to put our links on screen, so pretend that the links just showed up on screen. Yeah, check the description. Those should be there.
Yeah, comments, same direction.
Where are they? Who knows?
Who knows?
Oh, I'm on the I'm on the bottom anyway.
Yeah, dude, you're in the guest box.
Subscribe. It's like there. It'll be like this, I think.
I think
hit that like button.
I don't know.
Hit that like button. That's somewhere around here. Please.
Hunter and I will be back next week with something. Who knows? Mortal Kombat got is
late. Ethan's gone.
And Ethan's gone. Wouldn't it be funny if I just ended the episode right now?
I'll have Gunbrella and AK's Delattle to talk about at the very least. Perhaps more.
Hell yeah.
Who knows?
And I can promise you I won't be here. It'll be fine. Next time you see me, I'll be in my purple midnight lighting with at least decent internet. I can't guarantee anything else will be decent, but
and hopefully by next week I'll have sunk my teeth into Baldur's Gate a little bit more to have more of an opinion on it.
You'll have to let me know how that goes.
Sunk his teeth into it, or the vampire will sunk his teeth into him.
Dude, I met the vampire. I saw him be a vampire.
Did he sink his teeth into you?
I let him sink his teeth into me, yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. That's spoilers, dude. That's for next week.
Oh, shit, you're right. Guess I gotta cut that out.
Oh, dear.
Why start now?
Wrap this up. My internet can go again at any second. Like, let's just wrap this up. I need to go.
Yeah, thank you all for watching. We'll be back next week. Stuff is happening. Until then, have an awesome week. And yeah, see ya.
Bye.
Toodaloo.